Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Little Witch Academia, which we'll be getting into today. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Beatriz Mourad.
Hello.
Steve Zeck.
Hello.
And April Collins.
Hi.
Today, April, Beatriz, Steve, and I are back to discuss more Little Witch Academia. Today, recapping episodes 11 to 13, 11, 12, and 13. Those are Blue Moon, What You Will, and Samhain Magic Festival. I don't even know how they pronounce it in the episode, to be honest. But those three episodes, we've been very, very slowly making our way through all 25 episodes of Little Witch Academia here at the Overly Animated Podcast. You can find us at overlyanimated.com or search for the Overly Animated Podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher. We have an anime-specific feed. If you just want to get our anime content, including Little Witch Academia, you could search for Overly Animated Anime. And we've had previous podcasts on the last 10 episodes of LWA, and we'll be going in chunks of episodes until we catch up, so
we made it halfway through.
Yeah, halfway. This is
something.
Yeah, congrats. If you watch on Netflix, this is labeled as season 1. Really, it's just the first half of the season. So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get into these episodes, following the outline Steve has provided, Steve, what is our Little Witch Academia news of the week?
Okay, first of all, we have, besides me finally getting that book I told you about, the Little Witch Chronicles, there's a new opening out for the upcoming video game Chambers of Time. I gave you guys, email you guys links for that if you guys want to check it out, though probably best only for Beatriz because you guys want to be pure. Though it's not real spoilerish, but you don't want to take chances, or at least maybe you should check out, put it on, and just don't look and just listen to the music. Also, recent news. Latte and Susie made a cameo recently in issue 6 of IW My Little Pony Legend of Magic comic, as I posted a link to as well, which is pretty funny. Akko looks adorable, and Susie's cutie marks a mushroom, which I found hysterical. And really, other than that, really, it's just we're just waiting to hear about maybe if we get season 2, which would be as early as 2019. We're not getting nothing in 2018 because Trigger has other commitments.
Okay, that's unfortunate. Yeah, talk to the listener, Steve. You linked us stuff, but that's what we're referring
you guys
to there.
Check out the link I gave you to episode 13 special ending that was not on the airing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did see that. We'll discuss these endings. Okay, so there's our LWA news. Keeping it current, even though we're a little behind on the show. Last podcast, we discussed episodes 8 to 10, or you guys did. I wasn't on that one. Very, very, very quickly, can give a recap, and I can insert my one-sentence reviews of the episodes if people are curious. So you guys talked about, and I did listen to that whole podcast. It was great. You guys talked about the episode 8, Akko's Adventures in Susie. It's not Susie Land, it's just Susie. It's pretty, it's a pretty literal title. Yeah, Beatriz loved that episode. I think it's one of her favorites. I think you all really liked it as well. I definitely see that. I think that it definitely is a notable episode, really well put together episode, fun. Not going to be on my top 5 or 10 at the end of the year.
Really?
I'm not crazy. I'm still not crazy about Susie. I think that was like a pretty good episode. Nothing.
You haven't seen the whole series yet, though.
Yeah. Okay, but currently it's not in my top 3. How about that?
But as we go along.
Yeah. But I understand why people like that. I'm not saying you're wrong, just for me personally. Okay. 9 is Undead Travelogue. One of you called that the worst episode of the show, which I found harsh.
I did. Maybe harsh.
Yeah, because
I've seen the whole series, so I can.
I would not put that at the bottom.
I've seen it too, and it's harsh. That is a harsh statement.
I think 9 is really well put together. It's just a solid episode. It's incredibly unexciting and irrelevant to everything else in the series. So it's like frustrating on that level, but I found it very solid, better than the Dragon episode.
It's still a good episode.
Yes, it's better than the Dragon episode.
Yeah.
Wow, I will have stricter opinions. It's still close there. It's I don't know. I still think Great Divide's a great episode too.
Okay, I'll take this over Great Divide, the Avatar Last Airbender episode. Okay, and then we had Affection. The return of Andrew and all the love triangle stuff. This was going into these three that we're talking about today. This was my second favorite of the show. I think this was a fun episode. It wasn't spectacular, but I think these are just the strongest elements of the show. Whenever you have Andrew and then the Akko and Diana dynamic, so I really liked Be Affection. Even though it's obviously nonsense, but it was fine.
It's like that. It's like that latest episode of Mysticon.
Yes, it was. That is very reminiscent of the latest episode of Mysticons. I'm sure there's a huge crossover audience between those two shows. But let's get to episodes 11, 12, and 13. Blue Moon, What You Will, and Samhain Magic Festival. Pretty related episodes, so that's good. There's no like fillery type one here that's unrelated. So let's get your guys' general thoughts on these three episodes. Oh, and to recap, April and I have not seen past this point in the show. Beatriz and Steve have seen the whole show, so keep that in mind when we're giving
two perspectives, two sides of the same coin.
Yes. So let's start with Beatriz here. What are your thoughts on these three episodes?
Well, I really enjoyed them. I think that it was nice to see a more plot driven kind of thing, and while I was watching them, especially the first time I watched them, I was thinking, oh, okay, now second season is going to be more plot driven. Now I see what direction the show is going to go. But I do think that it was a little rushed. It was like a lot of information for 3 episodes. I feel like they could have used the past 10 episodes to do a little bit more setup. They could have just, spread the wealth of the plot a little bit more. But again, I enjoyed what I saw.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about how these episodes in the show handles plots. April, what are your impressions of these 3 episodes?
I also liked that they were sort of plot driven. I like that they were really connected too. Like, I feel like a lot of the episodes thus far have been very disconnected from each other. And I know that, or at least in my head, I remember, wanting something like what's going on kind of with this show. And that has been something that's been left to be desired. But with these 3, I liked that they were connected. 11 was pretty solid in my eyes. 12 kind of lost me for half a second. And then I thought 13 sort of closed it out and was a lot of fun. So I liked them. I think they worked really well as quote unquote season finale episode. So even though it's just halfway through the season.
Yeah.
Okay. And Steve, what do you think of these 3 episodes?
Oh, yeah, I agree. This is when a show starts to really kind of take a new direction. We get more plot elements, which I love. I don't know, all 3 of them. I'm not sure 12 or 13 which one's my favorite of the 3. I like 11. It's also great too. We meet this Professor Woodward character. My only nitpick about episode 11 is Diana just disappears less than halfway through the episode. Again, just like in episode 6, we got no really conclusion to her plot line in that episode. We had to wait for the beginning of episode 12 to get that. I felt that they could have done that a little better, but yeah, I really like these episodes. And I thought it was a great way to end the first half. And I'm really excited to see what awaits us in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, that's good stuff. I generally agree with all of you. It's really striking how much episode 11 ramps into the plot after having very little plot on the show previous to it. I enjoyed that aspect of 11. I think I don't know, it might be my favorite of the 3 just because I appreciate how much it gives me. And I think that it's just the most significant episode. I think 11 is probably the most significant episode of the series so far. I assume this 7 words thing is the main plot throughout the rest of the show. So it just, I like that aspect of it. 12 and 13 are fine. Love Akko Diana. The Akko looking like Diana. That's a highlight. It was great. Other than that, 12 was a little had a little less happening than the rest of them. And then 13 was silly, but potentially handled the characters the best of the show, I would say. The main trio. I think that this is the best main trio episode, so I think that was done really well. Overall, none of these episodes stand out to me as spectacular, I guess. I still think I'm on 6 as the best first half episode, kind of by a lot. But these 3 are at least solid. And I do appreciate bringing plot into the mix. So, I think there's a lot of potential heading into the back 12 that these 3 bring.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I want to, rather than saying like what's the best of them, I don't know. I don't know if it matters too much. They're similar episodes. They each have their strengths. I want to I think the main story here of the 3 is this ramping up into the narrative. I think 11, it's 11 kind of loses me just because it throws a bunch of plot at you. And none of it was discussed before in the show, and we just kind of get this backstory to magic with the 9 Old A witches, and I don't think you're supposed to say the E in Old A, but the Grand Triskelion and the 7 words. It's all kind of nonsense, and then we also get the Professor Woodward, and that's kind of nonsense too. But I will say the one thing 11 does really well is Ursula. I think it's it's one of maybe her best episode, right? And we finally get that, even though Steve's been trying to tell me that this has been confirmed for a while. This is the Ursula equals Chariot confirmed episode. This is the reveal.
Right.
Yeah.
It is definitely the reveal.
And I think I think if we were
Yeah,
not analyzing it to this extent, this would have been a more striking reveal. But yeah, anyway, Beatriz.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but can I just say that I love how they her and Akko have kind of like a Clark and Lois kind of thing going on, where it's like the glasses throw her off. I kind of love that. I'm like, is that an intentional nod, or were they just like, yeah, Akko's just not gonna get it?
Dense, I guess. Maybe he just puts Chariot on such a pedestal that you just can't see her. Maybe just an ordinary person.
I guess, but I mean, it's her face, though. It's not, or maybe there's some magic going on, but I mean, it's her face, Yeah. So it's that sort of contradiction. It's like you love this person, but at the same time, it's like you can't see that just with glasses, it throws you off. I don't know. I find that really funny, and an unintentional nod to another thing I love is basically what I'm saying.
I think out of all of the hidden identities that I complain about on this podcast, this one does not annoy me, specifically because Akko is very stupid. So I understand why
Akko's so
I get it.
If they had made Akko blonde, it would make sense. No offense to blondes. I've been one before several times. But she really is she's very airheaded almost, and so it's just and she's like, okay, yeah, and it's like, no, Akko, how do you not see this? I see it, and everyone who watches sees it. You should see it at this point.
Yeah, Akko's the only one in a position to realize it, and most of the time, Ursula, I don't think looks like the Chariot that we see in the flashbacks. I don't think
she does either, because doesn't Chariot have orange hair and Ursula has blue hair? I mean, they're the literal opposites of each other, and they cancel each other out.
And their demeanor is extremely different. So this isn't the same as Ladybug and Miss Guns, where they look the exact same. No, she looks most of the time she looks very different. So I appreciate that. I think the Chariot Ursula stuff has been handled very well and is one of the highlights of the show so far.
And she has short hair back then. Now she has long hair, so it's a lot of stuff can kind of throw you off a bit if you're not looking for that.
Yeah.
I thought it was really a nice seeing your teacher outside of school kind of thing. You don't recognize them. You're like, oh, you're a real person. You go to the grocery store and buy shampoo kind of thing.
Yeah, Tina Fey shopping for soaps and Mean Girls. Yeah, but
yes.
Exactly. I think that I really also just like the Akko and Ursula dynamic. I think that's been handled very well here, and
I'm so glad that we've gotten to see them more one-on-one. That's what I really enjoyed the most about this episode, was just seeing the two of them interact and getting to see Ursula sort of taking Akko on as like a mentee kind of thing. I really enjoyed that about this episode.
Yeah, same. I think that relationship of like the idol and the person and the idolizer, like that to me is like such a fascinating one. And it's like I don't know, the duality of it all. Like I think that's the relationship for me that has the most potential to say something interesting out of everybody's. So I can't wait to see what they do.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And it's handled better here. The one thing I've always hoping for is for Akko to just feel like something towards Ursula. It seems like she just doesn't care about her that much.
Yeah.
I want her to, I don't know.
She needs to like appreciate Ursula for who she is, and not just because that she's Chariot, which then she'll obviously freak out later when she learns that. But like her for being your cool teacher mentor too. Like let's do that.
Exactly.
Totally. And I think it's really sweet as well. Like I kind of what I want to see from Akko more is her have her like own identity. I feel like she's so upset. Like everything she does is for Chariot, or Chariot is involved in one way or another. Mm-hmm. Like she does. Like we're gonna skipping ahead a little bit, but I think it's in episode. Sorry, because they all blur. But was it in episode 12 where she's like, "No, you guys, I finally saw." Chariot like did what she did and won it because she just loved performing, wanted to make people happy. So now I want to do that too. And it's like, no, that's not genuine. Like it has to come from you, not just from because Chariot did it. It's okay to do it. Like I can't wait to see her just do things for herself instead of having Chariot there to instigate it.
Yeah, and this is the biggest flaw I think with Akko's character is that her motivation is just so singularly based around Chariot. It's not it's like I think that Akko's the best character on the show kind of by a lot at this point, but she's still pretty flawed in that the portrayal is still pretty flawed. And that it's just so heavily based around Chariot. And I think the time she shines the most are when she's not talking about Chariot.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. You mean like episodes when Ursula Chariot's not really involved that much, not in the episode, like when Akko just goofing around?
Yeah, I think so. I think those are some of the strongest characterization moments of the show.
Yeah, I agree though. Like Akko kind of needs to try to establish her own identity, man. She just can't be a copycat of Chariot. That's not really going to accomplish much. She's just going to be Chariot 2.0. That's not a dream, really. You should strive for.
Yeah, and obviously in universe, like it makes sense that Akko would be basing too much of her identity around that, and that's just like a flaw with her as a person. It's like understandable given who she is as like a person, but I also think it's just a characterization flaw because it makes her less interesting as a character. Like that's the point I'm making. It's not that like Akko's like a flawed human being. It's that I feel like this is a slightly boring portrayal that if we just keep seeing this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think we'll be tracking that. I'll come back to the characterization, but let's again talk about this just the general how this show is handling plot, because we get it ramped up a ton here, and it does get tabled into episodes 12 and 13 a little bit. There's the recurring plot thread around Akko having to say the secret word. Okay, now that I say that, yeah, I'm just gonna think of the SNL sketch. Yeah, she's just she can't say the secret word. So, like I guess that's like how we're gonna.
The secret word is.
Yeah. I guess that's what we're gonna have to do every episode though. But it just to me, okay, I don't know. I want to I don't want to bias your opinions here, so don't feel you need to agree with me. But I want to introduce the topic by giving my take on how plot is handled in this show, and that I think that the narrative in the show thus far is very boring. And not a strong point of the show. And I haven't really connected to anything narratively that's been going on. I think a lot of the mythology elements that are being introduced to me just seem kind of like very generic witch fantasy stuff. And nothing's been hammered in too much. Like there's been no depth given to a lot of these elements. The show is very mysterious, and in that regard it's kind of superficial in the ways it's presenting its mythology. Like I feel like this is definitely not the strong suit for me at this point into the show. Is like I don't particularly care about the Triskelion or the words or anything involving the losing Madger. I don't. None of that's particularly working for me. What do you think of that, Beatriz?
I agree with you. I completely agree. I don't want to get too into it and go too far in advance, but I agree with you completely. And yeah, I said it when I gave my first impression. I do not like how they're managing the plot. I feel like beside the show feeling like, even though what it does well to a certain extent, like it's a very pretty show to look at. The voice acting is great. I like the character designs. I like these characters created. In terms of just the plot, in terms of just level of it all feels like a derivative of something, which is a phrase I'm noticing I say a lot of. But yeah, it's not there is something missing. There is a sort of, it does feel a little boring. And I feel like had they managed added a little bit more complexity to the characters, had they managed the plot a little bit more, maybe sprinkled it out throughout these 13 episodes instead of just throwing it all at you. I mean, I don't remember how I felt in the first, when I first watched episodes 11 to 13, but watching it now, I understand it, but that's because I've seen everything. So I don't know if it was, I don't remember if it was confusing to me at that point. So I agree with you. It's the narrative wise, it's definitely the weak point, and I hope it gets better.
Steve, what's your take on that?
Ditto with Beatriz's point. I can understand why it might get a little frustrating the way they sprinkled the plot a bit. Could have been handled a little better, but not the worst in the world. Of course, maybe I'm used to like seeing a lot of like these 26, 25 episode animes, so this is sort of common. So I'm going to be a little more used to this type of pacing.
I wouldn't say it's common. Like I've seen some like 26. Well, the stuff I watched. Maybe okay, because that's like a very broad generalization of anime. Yeah. Like some of them are like they offer a little bit more.
But I do think so far the strong points of the episode of the series of the first 13 is when they just don't really do plot. They just do some goofy little standalone stuff with the characters. I think the strong suit of the show at this moment is not the story, but the characters, the setting, the animation. Oh, and one more thing I keep forgetting to mention. I think the soundtrack to the show is spectacular. The background scores is just great.
Yeah, I agree with that. April, what do you think? What's your take on how narrative's used in the show?
I'm not gonna like go super into depth because I think you guys have all, essentially covered how I feel that there hasn't been a whole lot for me to like grasp, I guess. And so I feel like I sort of have been watching the show very like passively just because there hasn't been anything really for me to like hold on to sort of follow along. Like the characters are fun. It's very pretty to look at, and everything. But like I said, I've been watching very passively. And then episode 11, they threw a lot of like plot at you, and I enjoyed the episode and everything, but then it just sort of like fizzled out from there. And I mean, we kind of slightly touched on it. I guess we did another thing with like the words, but it was a lot to sort of throw at you all at once. Like, we did the confirmation that Ursula's chariot. We have the whole, the 9 old witches, the 7 words, the like all of these elements, and they're all in one episode, but then that was kind of like it. So, I mean, for me, I'll probably continue to watch passively until like there's something to really grab me and for me to focus on. Because otherwise, like I could just put the show on in the background and that would be kind of it for me. I'm enjoying it whenever I but I really have to focus, if that makes sense.
I agree with that. It's sometimes I pause and I'm like, okay, it's too much. I can't pay attention right now. I'll click out, then I'll come back in. I'll play like
that's like exactly what happened to me, like watching these 3 episodes, because like I watched Blue Moon and I was like, okay, cool. Like, and then I started to watch 12 and I just like noticed that I was like on my phone, like doing other things. And I was like, okay, clearly I'm not like in the mood to watch this. Like I got through like the entire episode. I thought I only got like halfway through or like maybe like 5 or 10 minutes into it, but I got through like the whole episode before I was like, oh, I should probably like actually pay attention to what's going on. And then I had to rewatch it. So, and I was like, oh yeah, I kind of remember this, but not really. Like,
yeah, I think part of it is it's also a little slow at times, especially in episode 11. And this is, to be honest, a problem. To make another broad anime generalization, this is a problem I have with animes a lot. Is that we watch a lot of Western stuff for this podcast, and it's a lot more fast-paced and capturing your attention. And then you watch something like Little Witch Academia, and it's like, okay, I really need to specifically pay attention to this. And it's not just this show, but anyway, yeah, not to not get too negative. So I do think one of the strong points has been the certain elements of the characterization. Like I don't care about like the plot that's happening, but I definitely care about Akko and Diana. And maybe some other people, but mostly them. And
I'll go Diana and Ursula. Like those are the three. I'm like, I want to know about you three people. Yeah. Like, what more
characters?
Can I find
out? I think Akko is the main character. Everybody else just fades into the background. I think.
One thing I like though about when Akko turned into Diana, or she wasn't really Diana when she had her body. Is she did not like something to see a lot in animes, this joke. She did not try to feel herself up.
I mean, if she was a guy, they would have done that joke. So yeah.
No, in anime they do that too. Like we have this joke about the flat-chested girl being self-conscious.
Oh yeah, that's true. Other shows would have done that. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, speaking of the show, and one thing I love Akko did though is she did not intentionally try to sabotage Diana or make her look bad. Yeah. Which other shows probably would have done. And this was like its own version of the new Lars, in that Akko was trying to respect Diana's agency as best she could, just like Steven tried to respect Lars's, except for that little joke she pulled on her lackeys, but that's more about them, not Diana.
I agree with that, Steve. I think Akko is super sympathetic when she became Diana. Like, this is her like enemy, and she didn't, she was just like, she was just overwhelmed with the responsibilities placed on her. But she just very respectful of Diana. It was a really good look for Akko, I would say.
See, but is she her enemy though?
I don't think she's her enemy either.
Yeah, I think even rival. Like I feel like in Akko's head, Diana's definitely her rival, but in Diana's
right. I think that's what's important here. What's important is to Akko. Like this is her rival. Okay. Yeah.
All right, but I don't know if enemy. Enemy, I feel like is a strong word.
In the context of like the show's structure, that's the character.
She's her opposite, her opposing figure. But because I think that if like Diana had been, it was more of like that villainous character, I guess, to Akko, then we might have seen that, like trying to sabotage her, trying to make her look bad, like that kind of thing. But I've never gotten that impression that Akko like is disrespectful or feels like disrespect towards Diana, and so I wasn't surprised whenever, Akko was like trying to fulfill like Diana's role, like genuinely trying to help people, aside from the lackeys whose names I can never remember. But
Hannah and Barbara.
Yeah, Hannah and Barbara. That's right. I always tell myself to remember it too. But I don't think that like she was trying to do anything intentional in terms of like sabotage or, and I think that says a lot about Akko's, I guess, character too, was that she was just trying to fulfill the role versus like what can I get away with kind of thing.
Yeah. She respected Diana's like role. She has a lot of respect for her, and probably gained more respect when she went into a room and found all those books and all that. And I think by the end at that episode, she definitely had some respect for Diana. Maybe not the same level as Chariot, but it was a little bit below that, but something like that she probably may not have had in the beginning of the series.
Yeah, it's always a good look for both of them, Akko and Diana, that they're not like mean to each other. And also it helps that they're both secretly in love with each other, so that's why they're not mean to each other.
What about
that one too?
That too, exactly.
In episode 12, at the end, after Akko turned back, they had a little conversation, and didn't you look at their faces? It definitely looked a lot of tension. I thought it would be romantic tension.
I'm so on that front. the Akko Diana thing, so I think Diana's been underutilized still, again, in these 3 episodes, and I think Diana's kind of coasting on maybe 1 or 2 episodes and just kind of her general, just her initial strong characterization, and they haven't been doing that much with her, and I haven't also been doing that much with her and Akko, to be honest, recently. But it stands out to you as one of the strongest dynamics, and like clearly if the show were to do something with the 2 of them romantically, it would infuse so much life into this that's kind of missing from a lot of our character interactions. And I will say at this point the show has really done, for me, nothing to indicate that it is at all serious about going in that direction.
Totally.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, I wish it weren't true. I wish that they had, and I wish that Diana were featured more. But maybe it's because they wanted to really emphasize Akko and stuff, but I don't know. I feel like in general, there's just this unbalance with the focus of the characters. There's just there are these opportunities where I feel like, oh, you could have had Akko with this other person, or made it a group thing instead of just an Akko thing, and then you could have had moments to really develop these relationships, and they just don't go there, and it's frustrating.
I know. I'm waiting for that Akko Diana adventure. I really want that. They teased it a couple of times. It's just so frustrating. I want it so badly. It's hopefully soon.
Yeah, that'll be good. To me, it's just frustrating. Like Akko's like as Diana in Diana's room, and there's just like no emotional reaction to the situation. Like,
there's like nothing. It's like blank.
It's like really like if she had any feelings at all for her, there would be some reaction to this, but no. So it's a little hard to palate. I mean, I don't think Akko does have conscious feelings for Diana at this point in the show. I mean, I know that there's going to be something with this. There must be something with this more later because people are all about this. But I still have zero confidence that this show or any type of show like this in Japan would do anything with that. So that's great.
I mean, but remember, it is the internet. People take things to. People will find anything in everything. So keep that in mind as well.
I mean, I do think the show places them in a context where they want us to look at them like this. Like whenever Andrew's on the screen, I do think it's an intentional love triangle. So I do think the show's kind of aware of this, but it hasn't like progressed at all beyond that.
Yeah,
it's almost like it's saying I want this, but I don't know what to like. I don't know how to do that. So I'm just gonna like show you the tension, but maybe. I don't know. Like, it seems very confused about it.
And their relationship does, you know what it reminds me of right now? Akko and Diana's relationship. In a way, it's Ladybug and Cat Noir, in a way, in terms of all this tension. They always have all this, maybe.
Yeah, I see a little bit of that, except there's just no overt displays of affection towards each other.
It's just tension. Yeah. It's not, like, romantic. It's not, like, rival in nature. It's just tension. Like that's all that it is.
And let's like pretend for a second we're in a world where this show is capable of actually putting the 2 of them together at some point. Then I think at this point in the show we are at Akko like does not realize she has feelings for Diana, but maybe like does beneath the surface. But Diana, I think, definitely might at this point.
What about the ending?
Realize she has feelings for Akko. So like I think maybe that side of it would be even more fulfilling to see, is like how Diana views Akko at this point.
And what about what Diana said at the end? What's this feeling? I don't know what I ever felt this before at the very end of episode 13. Yeah. That's kind of something we don't really know what that's about. It could be anything. It's like something up to interpretation.
Which, by the way, like the voice actress for Akko, like she on her Twitter, when that episode was released, she went, "It's love, Diana. Love. That's what you're feeling."
Yeah.
So, I mean, the voice actress ships it.
Speaking of voice actresses, mind you, I just found out Diana's voice actress is also Weiss's voice actress, by the way. Remember how in the first podcast I said Diana sort of remind me of Weiss? I'm kind of into it. Looks like the people who cast stuff for Japan may have listened to our podcast.
Yeah, in episode 13, Weiss summons this snow unicorn. It's a very, very Weiss-like. That's one of my screenshot options for this podcast is Weiss with her pet unicorn, or Diana with her pet unicorn. Yeah, it's great.
Do it.
Yeah. No, there's a better one. There's like this really great shot in episode 13 of the main trio summoning, or like they're like about to rip apart the thing inside of them. It's like,
I think I know which
that's
one
adorable.
it is.
Okay,
yeah, it's like intense.
Let's go
It's
with
like artistically one of the best shots of the show so far. I'll definitely make it that.
Yes.
So wrapping up the characterization discussion, Susie and Lotte, I think once again not super prominent in these 3 episodes, but I do think that we finally see, oh wow, they like Akko. Like that's not something the show has told me before.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Lotte
Definitely cares about Akko. Yeah.
Yes. But Susie, yeah.
Susie, this is like the first time. Yeah. But they like show it, and it's I think this is the strongest part of episode 13, just their teamwork, the 3 of them pulling this nonsense off at the end with the ghost, and I think that this is maybe my favorite moments for those 2 characters, Lotte and Susie, and for and just the first time the show has ever sold me on the fact that these should be the 3 leads, which it hasn't really before.
Or
this
the
episode.
fact that these 3 are actually friends.
Yeah, that too.
Look, I'm still writing the Sushi Akko ship. I'm still writing it. I'm committed. But I will say something I did find slightly disappointing is that this basically the situation they're in that episode is similar to the Enchanted Parade. You know, it was similar to that short film. It was similar to it, but in the Enchanted Parade, that problem. Not just, well, obviously it was it was the very plot and there was a conflict in there that was really interesting and complicated, and I really enjoyed and made you learn about Lotte and get to know Lotte in a very interesting way, made her stand out. So I'm a little disappointed that they couldn't translate that into this episode. I feel like that could have added something there.
Yeah, Steve, how do you think the 3 of them are utilizing this in the last episode there?
I thought they utilized just fine. Like this moment of finally, showing what Akko means to them, and I kind of thought it was really. It's funny how Susie just she moved her head like that. That was just weird. But yeah, and we kind of see a semblance of Akko kind of gaining these friends that she slowly have made. I mean, I know mainly Lotte and Susie, but also Amanda and those other 2. Like they seem to be forming a little group here, and I thought, yeah, Susie really surprised, really showed some development here, really shining here. That she she really was trying to help Akko. She was not trying to just. Maybe now I won't say sabotage her, but just being like, I don't really care if Akko succeeds or fails. But she actually showed that she believes in Akko, and Lotte actually finally spoke up for her that they believe in Akko too. And I thought it was a beautiful moment. And I'm with Akko at the very end, her crying like that. So heartfelt.
Yeah.
I'm not being sarcastic. I'm being not being sarcastic.
Yeah. No, I know. I feel that. Yeah. So, definitely enjoyed the characterization there in 13. So let's do some quick hits from the 3 episodes. We've referenced in episode 11, Blue Moon, we've referenced the expansion of the mythology with these 7 words, with the Grand Triskelion, and Professor Woodward. I did it. I said the secret word. It was right in front of me. I read it on the page. Okay. Yeah, that's my best impression. That's my best Kristen Wiig impression. Okay, so what do we think of this being introduced here? Like, for me, this is like in Mysticons, if we introduce the Codex pieces in episode 11 instead of episode 2. Like, why are we doing this so late, Steve?
But we were introduced to it in the first episode. You just didn't know it. So it's sort of like a little trick they pulled on you.
Yeah, so I guess they want to establish the world and then do something here with the end game narrative.
I guess. That's kind of how it feels for me,
Yeah.
because I didn't pick up on anything about this before now, so...
Yeah, I will say I did really like that they were like, Akko did the first one in the first episode. To me, that was like I'm reading Harry Potter, and it's like, it's like the diary in book 2. That was one of the Horcruxes. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, we didn't know it then. It's like that's like the same thing for me.
Who knew?
Yeah.
We didn't.
Or finding some secret in Steven Universe from like an earlier episode.
Yeah. Usually I'm frustrated with that context, but yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, Beatriz, what do you think of these the 7 words and how this comes into play in the plot?
Well, I will say, I mean, I don't want to be negative. I feel like I've been too negative in these podcasts lately.
Oh yeah.
But,
Really?
just a little bit. But I will say that it is kind of that kind of cliche thing that magical girls do in anime, where it's like, oh, we have to do these, like, this list of things in order to get the power. And it's like slowly gaining something. I don't know. It's kind of like, those power-ups in like in Pokemon, like the evolution. It's I don't know. I felt like they could have stepped away from kind of that formula. I wish they had, but hey, when that formula is done right, it's wonderful. I know that this show isn't Sailor Moon, so they're not going to have like 100+ episodes. So yeah, that was really my hot take on that when I first saw it.
Yeah. April, what was your take on the 7 words?
I mean, I wish I knew what we were like moving towards. Like, what do these 7 words unlock? Like, what is the purpose of them? Like, why do they exist? Like, I don't know. Like, I just want more information, and I feel like I should have that at this point. I mean, we're halfway through the season, so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where it goes, I guess. What does it mean to Akko to unlock these 7 words? Yeah. Is anyone going to tell her that she's on this journey? Like, nope, secret. I would want to know. Yeah. No, secret journey, secret quest.
And why doesn't she realize that? How do I just magically know like these words? Or why is it that every word that Ursula tells me to say has this like great potential and crazy thing happen? Like, when is she gonna put the 2 and 2 together that something's going on?
She's just very stupid, so that's why
is she unlocked? Is this gonna be more magical girl than we think? And after she says the 7 words, she then becomes Chariot herself. And
oh yeah, maybe Chariot transformation.
This is what we're getting to. I want this. I've changed. I want this. That's what in my head. I'm just gonna imagine that when Akko says the 7 words or the 7 spells, then she's going to turn into Chariot. And end of show. Like she'll have achieved her dreams.
This is why Akko and Diana really hasn't formed a team yet, because if they were doing this together, Diana would have figured all this out already.
Yeah, and it's 7 words. 7.
That's true. Diana's too smart for the situation. Yeah, it's
figure out Chariot's identity. She would figure out.
Yeah. We'll see how quick we go through the words. Yeah, and by the way, I very much stand by 13 episodes in my comparison between Akko and Yui from K-On! Still similar. Yui would also have no idea what's going on here. Okay, Steve. Yeah, what's your take on these 7 words? And also, we can bring in Professor Woodward. This random. Like merfolk looking thing. That's like the ghost thing that turns into. I will say the end of this episode very visually striking. If nothing else.
Yeah. It's Professor Woodward's character that really, I guess, we sure saw in the opening, probably little hints of that, but still for me, just sort of was a surprise when I first saw her. And I'm still not sure though, is whether she's like supposed to be a spirit, a ghost. Was she always this being? Was she ever a human, like a normal witch human back in the day? Is she immortal? What's the deal with her? And as for the 7 words, I'm just sort of like, I'll just see how it goes. It's just sort of like, 7 words. If you find it, so be it. It's It's not something that really interests me in the series, at least at this point. I'm more interested in just the characters themselves, and hopefully maybe get some plot here. And what about those visions? Is that from the past, or is that from the future? All those people rioting and all that stuff. I mean, could it have been like the Salem witch trials days?
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't really.
I wish.
I didn't really know.
I didn't even think of that.
I hope so. I mean, like, I hope that, like, because usually lately, like, whenever we have like a witch thing, they never mention the Salem witch trials. Like, it's like with Harry Potter, I was waiting in all 7 books for them to mention the Salem witch trials, and nothing.
It's a dark day for witches. They don't want to talk about it.
I think they kind of mentioned it in the Enchanted Parade, but that's not canon to this. But I think they kind of mentioned it there. But yeah, but this also, I guess, this show is for like a family audience, so I guess they don't really want to bring up stuff like that.
I guess so, yeah. And at the end of episode 11, Ursula's like, I'll eventually tell you what's going on, Echo. And I don't really understand why she can't tell her right now. I think it would make things a lot more simple, but, you know.
By the way, because you have Shiny Rod, you have to unlock these 7 words.
Also, like, I'm Chariot. Like, what's preventing her from telling her that?
Like, whenever you unlock those 7 words, you will then become Chariot, setting me free to...
Wouldn't be surprised, yeah. Right.
Like, I'm writing that theory all the way, you guys, until...
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know why Ursula's being so secretive. Maybe we'll find out.
Maybe.
Okay, actually, though, are we going to rank the 4, like, especially guests at the festival?
Let's get there. Let's go. So in episode 12, I think we talked a lot about Akko being Diana. The prank on Hen and Barbo is good. I like having the post credit scene about that. One of my highlights was the vision of a younger Chariot in when Akko goes back to the portal thing from episode 6.
Yeah.
I really like that. Other than that, we don't have a lot here, I think. So
yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
I got bored during that episode.
I will say the Woodward gave me like that, reminded me of Ponyo's mom. You know, like if there was ever like a voice cast, like I know that there is like an English dubbed version, but like if I could cast someone to voice her, like anyone, I would be like, Kate Blanchett, you need to voice this professor person now, please.
Yeah. I could see. I think I see like a lot of the Ponyo art style sometimes in the show.
Totally.
Like when they're like picking out the things to choose lots for the groups, I feel like that seemed like a Ponyo type thing. That was like a visually striking sequence as well. Anyway, yeah, Steve.
This whole show is.
I wonder though if there was much with destined like to pick whoever it was, they would get what the job they got. That if no matter what,
is it like the Sorting Hat and like it's not like random. It's like there's some intelligence involved in. This.
They're like, we're gonna give you the duty that we feel you need.
I feel
like,
yeah, Akko's sacrifice. That makes sense. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Episode 13. Steve, you wanted to talk about the guest judges?
Yeah, I'm just wondering who's your favorite, because I gotta say is the dark haired one's my favorite. It's called a rock star one, the one Mijirori, who by the way, in the English version is she's voiced by Christina V, English voice of Marinette, and the voice of the bot of the voice in the Zoo episode. So she's an old friend of OVA.
A lot of our stuff, yeah. The one that did not look like other characters we already had. That was my favorite one. Yeah. I think that's what you're talking about.
I only remember the one who had eyeshadow on, and I was like,
Yep. I was like, can we have more of you, please? Thank you.
They're so much cooler than the other teachers, except for Ursula. You know, the nun named Ursula at the Luna Nova, who are all such fuddy-duddy.
Yeah, Ursula's like the only non stereotypical witch-looking one, right? We also had the Vara Horus ghost. So my problem with this is, why would no one in this like 100-year tradition thought to have tried to
make the ghost?
Really sad.
They're just like, oh, we'll just make a festival about this. Isn't that funny? No one's gonna try to like free the ghost. Like, this isn't happening.
Is this tradition? I don't want to know why didn't Chariot try it at least? I thought she might have back in her day, but
yeah, I mean, eventually she got there, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Chariot, Ursula definitely did all the work on this, so it wasn't Akko didn't really do it. As the entire show, Ursula's just telling Akko what to do.
She's the best, like, witch mom or older sister, because people always call her witch mom, but I don't know if she's old enough to be Akko's mom. I think the age difference might not be enough.
Yeah, I think she's like 30s, right? So
yeah, she's 10 years older than Akko.
Yeah, it could be
10 years. If Akko's like what, 14, 15? Yeah. How old is she?
I mean, you would have to assume that Ursula/Chariot was like in her prime whenever Ursula was in her prime when she was like Chariot, so maybe like early 20s, and then
so she's at least early 30s, more like mid 30s,
yeah,
late 30s,
yeah.
Yeah.
Unless she did it when she was like 18,
she could, because it's an anime, so she could be doing that. Yeah.
And she could have been like a pop star at 18. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Or I mean, we don't know how their graduate, like what year or whatever it is that they graduate. I mean, they could graduate at 16. Maybe she was like 17 whenever she was Chariot. Like, we don't know.
And like, we don't know how old like these witches really are, because magic, we don't, magic can make people age in various ways. We don't know.
Yeah. Melisandre, Game of Thrones, the situation going on here. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't even know how old like Akko is, do we?
I assume Steve does.
I know what age she's older than, but I don't want to say.
She's older than 10. We got that. Like,
we'll see. Maybe it's a spoiler. Maybe it's a spoiler. Maybe it's a spoiler or something. Okay, so the end of this episode, we talked about this. Like, Diana's like, "What's this feeling?" Like, this is called an emotion, Diana. You haven't felt that before.
Diana.
This is. I think that's what all it was, right? Like. You just like you have some sort you felt an emotion because this was there was a
maybe she was felt very like the way that I kind of interpreted it is that she felt very like moved by the magic that was happening, and because everything seems, even like with magic, she seems very like cut and dry, like, like, I've been doing this all my life kind of thing. Like, this isn't anything new. You know what I mean? And so for her, maybe she actually felt moved, like, by what was taking place. And she was just like, oh, magic's beautiful.
Yeah, I think that was the intent. I think, because the whole thing here is that Akko wants them to, like, feel that magic is fun. So she was like, oh, I actually feel something from magic as opposed to just, like, I've just been taught my whole life to meticulously study it. So.
And this is my path of life. Like...
I don't know. I would say that, well, for me, how I interpreted it was that she was always very frustrated with Akko because she never thought that Akko took things seriously and never really tried and never just, she never took her seriously. So I feel like she was moved because finally Akko maybe like, kind of like, she's not her tutor, but kind of like how a tutor tutors someone and then they finally get an A on that test and they're like, yeah, you go. I just feel like maybe internally she was just she wanted Akko to actually try.
Just proud of her,
to see her. Yeah, so I feel like that's what.
There's definitely an element with Diana of what's going on with Andrew. Andrew's like, oh, I notice Akko, like, and it's like he doesn't really. It's not clear, probably in Andrew's mind, whether he has romantic feelings or not. I think there's kind of an element to that with always with Diana. It's like, oh, this person is like notable to me. They're different from everyone else.
So Akko essentially, she's pretty much Heidi, pretty much. Well, if you know that old story, who she sort of influenced like positive all those people. Or Annie, I guess, another example. That's what Akko is?
Yeah, I know. I think Akko just has a positive effect on everyone around her. Yeah,
I know those characters are.
I think so. Pretty. Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Or Steven.
Yeah, Steve. Yeah, very Steven-like character. And then it says Steve is on the island. At the end, we have a mysterious figure. It felt very random to me at the end of the episode. I didn't know whether we were supposed to know who this was.
Can I tell you? No. Can I tell you what happened? To me, like when these episodes were airing, before episode 12 aired, the website of the show, they put up like a preview for the second half, and they also read character info on who the mysterious person was. So before I even saw episode 12, I knew who this person was. So I never had that chance of really seeing up who is that person at the end of episode 13. I was like waiting for that person. When's this person going to appear? Not who is this person? So that's the way it was when it was airing in Japan.
Well, I mean, I didn't even notice that person. So when I didn't even notice this kind of like subtle hint of what's to come. So I was just like, I mean, if we see them in the next season, I was like, whoa, you know?
Yeah.
In a way, though, it does also sort of remind me in a way, though, not exactly the same, but the Azula reveal at the end of book 1 of Avatar. Like,
yeah, to me, it's like recently in Adventure Time. At the end of an episode, this random guy comes and picks up this thing, and then we have no idea who this is. And later, it's like, oh, it was some other character related to some other character, but it was just like we had zero concept of who this character was. Yeah, I have no theories. April, any theories on this?
No. The only person was I don't know, maybe like Andrew or his dad or something.
Andrew's twin brother. There you go. That's what it is.
Yes.
You think it's a man?
I really noticed was like these like dots or something that were on the screen. I didn't even really see the person. So I got that it was like something that we're not supposed to understand at this point. But yeah. There you go.
Unless you show the previews of the second half.
Yeah.
Thanks, Japan.
Yes, thanks, Japan. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Japan.
Okay, Steve, anything?
Yeah,
there you go. Steve, any last things from these 3 episodes?
Oh, I'm just glad we're getting the plot moving. I'm glad, though, maybe it wasn't as much, but we finally get some Diana focus with her and Akko the last couple of episodes. Even though I was frustrated at Diana just getting thrown out of episode 11 again, like they did earlier in this series. But I'm just glad, though, that you finally get to see more of developing friendship between Akko, Latte, and Susie. That we get confirmation that they're friends, and I'm just hoping to see more of Ursula step into the picture, step into the series, and step up and be more of that mentor to Akko, and hopefully maybe she'll either reveal what she's trying to share it, or we'll find out why she has to keep it a secret.
Yeah, that would be nice to know why she's choosing to be a teacher here instead of being awesome, and that would be good to know. Okay, Beatriz, final thoughts here.
I liked these episodes. I think it was a strong finish to the season. I mean, after watching these, I couldn't help but watch the rest of the season. Like I watched 14 to 25 after these because I couldn't. They did their job. They hooked me, and then I just binged everything else. So I am excited. I hope that they improve with their character management. I hope that they improve with their plot and narrative, the spread of it, and I just hope that it continues being pretty, because stylistically the show is gorgeous. So if it can do that and give me just animation eye candy, then we'll be happy. And more of Akko being an adorable animals, because I don't think we talked about it, but her being an elephant is the cutest thing ever.
Yeah, because she's somehow incapable of like actually transforming into the animal, so it has to be some weird version. Yeah. April, final thoughts.
Cute. I'm looking forward to more character development for Diana and Akko, both of them. I'd like to see more of that Akko Ursula kind of interactions, and I just want to know where we're going. Like, these last 3 episodes introduced, the 11th episode introduced so much. And so I just want to know, like, what it is that we're trying to get to at this point. Like, we have, this quote unquote second season. But, that's like 12 episodes. So I just want to know, like, what are we building up to, like, and how are we going to get there and properly get there? So
yeah. Main thing I think is I'm looking forward to the next Diana, Andrew, Akko episode. That'll be my highlight of the upcoming show. Bring it on. So other than that, more Akko, more Ursula. There you go. So Well, we will be back to cover the rest of this season of Little Witch Academia, the final 12 episodes, potentially faster than we've been on this pace. So look out for that on overlyanimated.com, our anime feed. Find us on YouTube if you're listening there, subscribe there. And you can join the discussion on Discord. There's no Little Witch Academia channel yet, but if enough people, there's an anime channel. If enough people want a Little Witch Academia channel, we can make that at overlyanimated.com/Discord. Text chat with us about this show, other shows. Support us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you very much to our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Jamie, aka Mailman. And thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Andy. Bunch of podcasts this very busy week at Overly Animated. Beatriz just hosted a My Little Pony podcast featuring Steve. We had a Miscons podcast upcoming. We have potentially like OKKO, DuckTales, Rick and Morty, Voltron, and Ruby are back, and that's all in 1 week. So we are very busy here. Check us out, overlyanimated.com, not to miss any of it, and continue to be busy, but hopefully get some more Little Witch Academia podcasts in. Comments, let us know what you thought of our discussion here. I guess don't spoil me and April past these episodes, but
please don't.
But do comment. We'd love to hear what you have to hear. Yes, Steve.
No, I didn't say nothing. I'm just saying, Dylan, you're right.
Yes. Let us know. Steve works very hard on getting the LWA podcast up. Thank you to Steve for outlining this once again. So,
well, this is the one podcast where I am truly the executive producer.
Yes,
actually do actual work.
Executive producer perk. Yes. Thank you very much, guys, for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.